guys, I hope you're having a great day. I wanted to come in here to talk to you about fats. Are they good? Are they bad? Should we have them? It's confusing. Everything in nutrition is quite confusing because, I don't know, because we have so many conflicting information and people are always sharing that conflicting information. So we're gonna go by what the majority of science says, and we are going to also, I'm going to share my view on fats and how I integrate them in my life, and then we can just discuss this. So first of all, what are fats? Fats are macronutrients like carbohydrates and proteins, and if you're looking at the caloric intake from fats, you're looking at 9 calories per gram versus the 4 calories per gram that protein and carbohydrates hold. So a high fat diet would be a high caloric diet as well. Now, of course, you learned from, or you heard from the carnivore side that, you know, that's great, and this is why they eat like just flesh, and yes, disgusted, and that's why they're taking their calories, and it's all good, and you need saturated fats, and it's like, okay. So within the fat realm, we have saturated fats and unsaturated fats, and we have also trans fats. Now, thankfully, everybody agrees from all camps that trans fats are bad for you, so everybody's on the same page that we should not have them. And although they are still present in some food, prepackaged foods, junk food, we can definitely avoid them completely, and I think there is more and more demand for decreasing them. Now, they're not totally out of food, they just decreased the amounts, and there are some countries where if you don't have a certain amount, you don't even have to list them, which is a bit cheeky. But basically, guys, anyway, we shouldn't have a diet that is high or at all with prepackaged foods. So I'm very much of a hygienist point of view, because we need to be healthy. These vessels need to be healthy. For me, there's a spiritual component to it, and so I really think it makes sense to not have prepackaged food with these kind of fats in it anyway. So when it comes to saturated fats have been linked to increasing cholesterol. Going back to the carnivore camp, they think that's a great idea and it's brilliant for you when you need it. We make cholesterol into our liver, so you actually don't need to ingest it by eating the flesh of another being. And so, you know, pointless. But also the carnivore side of things, they do not speak about ApoB and the relationship to heart disease. So they only focus on LDL, which is not a marker that is perhaps always sufficient to cardiovascular disease. However, it's still quite it's still quite present in all the studies that we have that correlates heart disease to cholesterol. So although ApoB is a great marker to follow, high cholesterol has been linked to heart disease. So I really don't know how to get away with saying that, but in any case, it doesn't matter. This is what they say. This is why you will see it and be confused about it. And then you have unsaturated fats like polyunsaturated fats, which are present in nuts and seeds and even fish, and they are really good for you. And you have any algae, and then you have also fats that are present actually in vegetables like broccoli. I don't know actually how much of broccoli would have how much fat in broccoli per gram, but you have enough fats in broccoli. I get to 15%, almost 10% just without oils, and then if I add in some flax seeds or tahini or whatever, then it will get me up to where, you know, the 15% more or less, sometimes more, sometimes less. So there's definitely fats in everything. I mean, avocados are quite high in fat, so and they have some saturated fats. So yeah, you know, this is in nature, right? And saturated fats are mostly found in flesh, in animal flesh, and they're byproducts like dairy. But in the plant kingdom, you will have saturated fat in coconuts, palms, and cacao to a lesser extent, but still present. So for people that have cardiovascular disease, saturated fats are best to be avoided. And this is really the consensus of all studies. Now, there is a little bit of, two camps even here when it comes to cardiovascular disease. One camp says no fats at all. The other one says you can have polyunsaturated fats, which are good for you. And of course, essential fatty acids are good for our health, for our heart health. But I really think that if you are trying to decrease heart disease after years and years and years of accumulation of fat into your body. Taking a break from them is not going to kill you. However, there is obviously concern when it comes to EPA and DHA, which is actually a concern that a lot of people have when it comes to vegans. And even then, there is, you can take supplements from algae, which is perfectly fine. Although then you have studies that say that algae, that EPA and DHA supplements can cause cancer. So you always have something that comes up. However, these studies are not really strong. So sometimes it's like, well, if they're not very strong, the possibility of getting things like dementia from not having enough fatty acids that like EPA and DHA, because not everybody converts them very well from omega-3s, then is perhaps not a risk you want to take. So it's better to take the supplement. And I guess we have to all really evaluate, but also test. We can do blood tests for pretty much any nutrient. And I really say if we have the availability to the diagnostics, we should take advantage of them. This is one of the best things that came out of science. So test your levels and then decide if you do need to boost it up a little bit or not. I really think it's better safe than sorry. And so that could be a very good thing to do. So are fats good or bad for you? Well, I think, again, unsaturated fats are good for our body, but depending on what you're trying to achieve, perhaps you can adjust how much you have. And if you want to have a period where you don't have any other fats. Now, I think it's also important to understand one thing. When we talk in science, when we talk in nutrition, when we talk about quantities, especially when, we can read, 100 grams of chia seeds will have so much of fats, or an avocado will have so much of fats. People really don't think about how we consume these foods. So how much we eat is really, really relevant, right? So if you're having 3 avocados a day, well, that's going to be a bit much. Even 2 avocados a day is going to be much. And sometimes even 1 avocado a day for some people is a bit much. So knowing how much you need and what's good for you is really important. That's why we want to have blood tests and see, evaluate what's going on in our body. But I think we need to really remember this, because when we talk broadly about nutrition, we forget that people just don't really think about how much they're eating. For example, on a package, they might see, this is only like, 2 grams of fats per serving. Very, very rarely people have a serving as it should be done. Like, I remember when I used to buy cookies, for the love of God, I used to have the whole pack, almost. That's, I don't know how many servings, but many servings. So I didn't have what was, advised. Like, I wasn't having the quantity that I was like, yeah, it's fine, it's per serving. It was a lot more that I was having, probably 25 grams of fat from the pack of biscuits or something. So now we're looking at a different level. So it's truly, truly important to think about these things. And so you have to be just wise. But also I feel like when we want to eat very clean and focus on a whole food plant-based diet, adding some seeds in your salads, even some nuts in your salads occasionally, that can be a great thing. We are so used to, for example, seeing a lot of influencers online just taking spoons of peanut butter and spreading it on their bread. And like, do you need that much? No, probably you can probably get away with 1 teaspoon. And also be wise, how many fats are you having together, because they accumulate. Like 1 tablespoon of olive oil is 120 or 115 calories. It's a lot of calories for 1 teaspoon of 1 tablespoon. So I think we don't think about these things, and we don't want to become calories obsessed. That's not what I'm asking. I think that would be a little bit crazy and also very depressing. But I think we need to be just wise. And now, of course, go back to the point I was making about oils. When you have fat in the prepackaged form from nature, which is your olives, your avocado, now you're getting the fiber, you're getting the water, you're getting things that come with the fat. But when you're having oils, you're having just the fat. Now they are great, as I said, if you want to bump up the calorie intake for a child who's on a plant-based diet and they can't eat as much as us, but for an adult it's not necessary. So I think it's really important to understand. But again, I always go back to one thing. Think about nutrition that is targeted for the person, because we are ultimately all different. I think there are some real big standards that can be applied to the majority of people that want to be healthy, and that's amazing. But I think also understanding what's happening in our body, person by person, is extremely important. So do your blood test, understand what's going on in your body, and then tailor your nutrition. Work with your nutritionist, work with a dietitian, work with a holistic naturopath, work with people that understand nutrition in a broad way, and I really think you'll thrive. And I think that if everybody actually added more fruit and vegetables in their life, in any case, they would thrive. We are not having a global, pandemic of cardiovascular disease and metabolic disorders because of fruit and vegetables. We are having that because of the amount of animal protein that we eat, the amount of junk that we eat. We are stepping away from nature, in its powerful form. On a spiritual level, I believe putting life into our body is exactly what we need, because we are operating at a certain vibration. This will not resonate with everybody. I totally understand. I gave up in trying to make the whole world vegan, but I really feel that people that are really tapping within in their spirit, they know why eating dead flesh is not the right thing to do, especially if they want to elevate to the next spiritual level. And to me, they all go together, which is why a lot of people wouldn't, a lot of people that just focus on science wouldn't understand this, or wouldn't resonate with it, or would think that I'm a quack. And that's okay. Everybody's opinion is their own, and they are entitled to it. But this is how I see it, and I hope that if you resonate, it's because you are seeing that we are way more levels than just this physical body. So in a lab, you're not going to see what happens to spirit, what happens to mind, what happens to our higher self, but we have to take that into consideration. So I wanted to share this today. I hope it makes it a little bit clearer, but of course it's a big subject that I could not cover here possibly in any detail. But if you have any question, do feel free to send them to me. I will always be honest that if I don't know something, I will research it for you. But if I do, I will share as I'm doing now. So talk to you soon. Bye.